If I had to start high ticket sales from scratch in 2026, knowing everything that I know now, I would do almost everything differently than what I did. And that's coming from someone who's made over $500,000 in my first 2 years as a high ticket closer, with my best month being over $65,000 in personal commissions paid into my bank account. But when I started, I had no clue what I was actually doing. I applied to hundreds of jobs with a terrible resume. I took calls with no structure at all, and I had zero idea how to actually improve. It took me months just to land and do good in my very first role, and even longer to make real money. And if you're trying to break into remote sales right now in 2026, you're probably making some of the same mistakes. You've watched other videos, you've taken notes, maybe you're even practicing with your friends and role-playing in the mirror. But when it comes time to get hired or close deals, there's nothing that actually clicks. And here's why. Because most sales advice is completely backwards. It teaches you how to stay busy, not how to actually make good money. You're focusing on things that feel productive, but don't actually move the needle forward to you getting to very, very high earning months. In reality, 20% of what you do drives 80% of the results. And the problem is, no one actually tells you what the 20% is. So you stay stuck, not getting interviews, not closing deals, wondering if sales just isn't for you. But it's not you, it's your approach that you're using. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I would do differently if I had to start over today, so you can land a role faster, skip the confusion, and get your first 10K month as quickly as possible in less than 30 days. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So how do you actually get to a 10K per month within 30 days? Let's jump into it. The core principles here is activity does not mean productivity. 20% of the actions you actually do, it gives you 80% of the results. So 80% of the actions is essentially a wasted effort if you're not talking to the right prospects and the right job and business owners. Your job is to find that 20% and maximize how much of that gives you the 10K per month. So two different skill sets here: skills to get hired and skills to make money. So most people confuse the two, and we're going to separate them today. So phase one is actually getting the job. The wrong approach here is the spray and pray method. So applying everywhere, hope something actually sticks with a good business owner, which never works. And there's in general a very low response rate. People can tell that this is copy and paste DM. The right approach is the sniper method. This is targeting specific companies, deep research within a niche, and personalized outreach, giving a compliment, making sure to say, I applied for your mentorship, and I actually think I can help you solve XYZ problem. This gives a much higher response rate of around 50%. Step one would be to find the companies. Company intelligence gathering phase. So use Facebook ad library to look up different companies and what ads they're running. Look for the higher ticket offers, not a low ticket funnel. We want high ticket offers and proven revenue behind the company. So the more ads they're running typically means that proof that they can actually drive sales, and then you could obviously get 10K per month. This is the fastest way to start earning that 10K. Funnel hacking. Once you find the funnel on those ads or within the YouTube or Instagram description, go through their funnel, opt in like a normal prospect. Book a call. I wouldn't recommend you keep the call if you're going to book a call. Don't waste the closer's time because that is super annoying. And I've had that happen to me, but book a call, cancel it right away just to see the process and make sure everything's oiled up. If they have a good process, that means they can bring you good high ticket prospects willing to buy the solution. And you want to study everything within that niche and that influencer. You want to track the pricing, emails, follow-up, how they actually talk to you through that process. Maybe the setters will reach out. Conviction filter. So pick one company you believe in. Why just one? Because confidence closes deals. If you have no belief in that company, then you're not going to make sales. So conviction is 80% of the success with actually finding a good job. You're convincing that business owner that they should ultimately give you a shot. Step two is value first applications. Stand out instantly by not doing a resume spam of just like a copy paste, but by recording a loom of yourself with a solid background so then the owner can see you, see how you speak, know that prospects are going to see you in the same way with the background, with the good image quality, the good audio quality. Okay, if your audio sounds like terrible crap and your background is like a wall with like a world map or something, it's not going to go very well. You're going to talk to business owners and clients online that are supposed to pay you $5,000 to $25,000, and you have a background that looks like you're in your mom's basement. It's not going to work. Show funnel improvements to them, observations and ideas on where to actually fix a leaky bucket and get them more revenue. And then step number 3, the follow-up system. So application plus audit. You can send them a LinkedIn message, insight email on the company email, a video email with a Loom, case study, phone call, and then final email. Persistence plus strategy equals interviews. And this might sound backwards because most people think in the high ticket space that you want to be the one that's wanted. And that's so true. But when there's a great offer that you want to get on, especially if you have no experience, you have to be a person that's a pick-me person. Okay. So raise your hand, say, you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner, I want to work for your offer. I'm willing to crush it. And I want you to pick me. And I'm not scared to say that. I'm not scared to work hard for you. That's what actually drives results in 2026. Phase 2, now the business owner has given you an interview. Let's dominate it. The goal here is to secure the role. Now remember, they're not all in on you yet, and we'll dive into it for a second, but you have to crush the interview by standing out, your confidence, business understanding, and coachability. Let them know, I'm willing to learn the process. I want to help you out, but I'm willing to learn the process. And if there's something I'm doing wrong, I want to become better. So help me understand that. You don't want to be a pain in the ass when someone tells you, hey, you should just fix your background. It looks really bad. It looks really, really bad. And if you're like, no, I think it looks fine. They're like, ooh, I don't want to work with this person. You say, absolutely, I agree. My background will get better. I'm thinking of doing this. And once I start making some money, then I'm going to rent my own apartment, have a better view, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's move on though. Confidence without arrogance is a big thing in this industry as well. You want to confidently speak to the business owner as if you have footing under your ground essentially. But you don't want to come off as arrogant because, they're making a lot more money than you and they have a lot more business understanding than you because you're just getting into the industry, okay? So problem-solving ability is crucial to show and also real-life stories. Doesn't mean you need to be an expert, but say, hey, business owner, you have such a fantastic niche. I've seen my mom go through the same struggles of getting to XYZ journey and also my good friend. And I've seen them struggle with that. And now that you're selling a product that actually really helps people, it really brought me to you. I think what we could do is XYZ to improve the show rate, that sort of thing. So you have to know their product, know the market, know the customers. You don't do the research on just those basic things. They take like 5 seconds. Like seriously, they take like 5 seconds. The business owner isn't going to treat you seriously and you're not going to get the job. Coachability is probably the biggest hire signal. Companies want a growth mindset, a long-term potential closer and setter. They don't want to be hiring a closer and setter every 6 months and retraining them and putting all their effort into them. No, they want someone to stick with them for 4, 5, 6 years or until the offer dries up. And so the power questions that you need to ask to really make sure the business owner knows you're serious is, what does success look like in 90 days for your role? What do you consider success? Is it a better deliverability? Is it lower refunds? What challenges does the team face? Top versus bottom rep differences that I can obviously avoid and emulate. And then can I work weekends to get more leads? Guys, this is huge. I work every other weekend, especially my 2 years that I was averaging $20,000 a month. I was not scared. I'd work all day Saturday, all day Sunday when I wasn't with my daughter. Every single other weekend. And it did great. People were like, I'm so glad I could speak with your team and you, Johnny, on Saturday because I work so much during the week. And it's so nice. I got to sleep in today, wake up, have some lunch, and now we're on a call. And I'm like, wow, this sounds great. And they're like, yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I'm so excited to start this week, blah, blah, blah. Same thing on Sundays as well. Some people are like, oh, show rates are lower on Sundays. My show rate was fine on Sundays. There was no issues with that. People were grateful that they could book a call when there was a time slot that actually worked for them. Now, a lot of closers get into this rhythm where, they've been on an offer and they're like, no, I don't want to work weekends. I only want, the best leads from a 9 to 5 perspective. Like that's my schedule. They're not willing to work like 9 to 9 or 7:30 to 7:30, which is what I was working. And so you ask them, can I work weekends? How do you train reps? What is the stuff you want me to start learning? They want them to be, you're working remotely, take care of yourself, make sure you're staying on top of it. So what's the best way to keep up to date with the training? Phase 3 is the first 30 days. So first 30 days on the offer is the make or break. Okay, if you don't do good in your first month, they're not going to keep you most likely, and that's just the truth of it. Build sales identity with 4 weeks in a row. So identity discovery is you take calls immediately. They're going through the training. It might just be a short sample batch, which is fine. You want to record real conversations and listen back to them. You want to study the product plus avatar and build conviction in that product. Now, this is huge with picking the niche, which is why we spend a lot of time picking the proper niche, because you already know your mom and your friend who have been through this journey, and you know somewhat the avatar and the product that they need. Week 2 is pattern recognition. So track every call, the best questions you ask, the drop-off points when you lost prospects, if you didn't go deep enough on the actual discovery phase, the objections that you get, and then authentic versus scripted moments that you should really think about how to handle the next time you get it. Now think of it this way in week 2. The product has probably been around for a while, especially if it's like a fitness product. Fitness has been around forever. It's nothing new, guys. So there's usually 5 or 6 main objections that people get. Now you can just reverse engineer it. How do I overcome these objections earlier in the discovery phase of the call? It's very simple. Week 3 is skills focus system. So focus on one skill per day that you're going to improve on. Monday would be discovery, make sure the front end of the call is really good. Tuesday, maybe get into the pitch section, make sure your pitch gets a lot better. And then Wednesday, objections. You need to master these because it's usually the same 5 or 6 that come up every single time during a week. Small improvements really do compound over time, and the quicker you can get through this learning curve on the offer, the more likely they're going to keep you and the more money you're going to make and get to that 10K as quick as possible, which is obviously a really crucial part for you as well. Week 4 is the integration phase. So combining authentic style, skill development, tracking your systems to overall show the business owner, man, I've crushed it this first month and it's only the first month. So imagine 3-4 months down the line, how much money I'm going to make. You want to make money. The more money you make them, the more money you make. It all goes together. And then you start closing more aggressively. At this point, you'll build a lot more confidence, especially once you're making 10 to 20 grand, and you won't be scared to lose deals as much because you know that you help out certain avatars. And if someone jumps on a phone with you that's wasting your time, you just jump off. Phase 4 is scaling to that 10K per month mark. So 1% improvements daily is what's going to get you there, and really consistency in this. So ask yourself daily, what could I improve? What patterns do I see? And what skill do I train next? We always have to keep training. The market's always changing. Prospects are always changing as well. Now, what I would do every day is when I'm on a sales call, I used to use a notepad. Now I just use my iPad Pro. But you want to write down while you're on the call. Let's say you ask them, what's your goal? And you don't go deep enough on the goal. I always write at the bottom, next call, I need to ask deeper on goal. And then on the next call, I'm making changes immediately, like the next hour. And I'll do this 5 or 6 times a day. That's how I do it personally. Some people just do it daily, whatever works for you. But again, I made 20 grand a month for 2 years straight. Weekly analysis. So track the close rate, show rate, cash collected, and your metrics. You're going to feel a lot more comfortable taking these calls when you know your metrics. For example, when I was taking a bunch of calls, I would go and understand that 40 to 50% was my close rate at a pretty decent price too. So our revenue per call was around $1,500 to $2,500 per call. So I knew that if I had 10 calls in a day, I'd be selling on average $15,000 to $25,000 across all those calls in terms of revenue. Okay, so you can kind of do the math on the commissions backwards but it was pretty good for commissions. And then you want to increase cash per deal. An example of this is instead of selling a $1,000 product, try building up your skills to get to selling most clients a $2,000 product. So instead of your commission being $100, it's going to be $200 per sale. And obviously, that's a very low ticket price, but just as an example. And then the monthly breakthroughs. So at the month mark, you want to have deep review on how your month went, what you need to improve on, where the leads are going with the offer. And you always want to set goals. Now, I always set my goals in this journal. This is where I set my goals. Okay, so I just write them down very simply, I have my pen in there, and I go through. Because I know that when I hit my goals in my private life, my sales life gets better as well. It just goes hand in hand. So you really want to focus on what's going to make sure to drive more revenue for the company and ultimately more money for you so then you can hit your goals. And this has to do with mindset. So we have to talk about this next. Your internal state is your external state. Okay, so you can't be depressed all the time and then assume that prospects are going to like talking to you because that just doesn't work. You have to internally enjoy the process. You have to enjoy your life, what's happening internally, and then externally, everything starts to flow a lot better. If you jump on the phone with prospects and this is what they see. Oh yeah, welcome to the call. I'm excited for you to be here. Are you excited? No, you're not excited. I'll give you a difference. Hey, John, I'm super excited to be speaking with you today. Where are you calling from? There's a way different tone. And prospects can really sense that. So you want to have visualization. So 3 minutes before the calls, start getting into the zone, especially if this is your first couple months doing this. Might sound like silly, but you want to sit here, look at the lead, start preparing like what direction you're going to take the lead in, and really get energy alignment, calm, focused, preparing for an hour-long conversation. Intentional focus will really help you out, especially when starting out to get to that 10K per month. And then resetting the system. So after your day is done with sales, it's very important to re-energize and keep sharp. How you can do this is the gym, spending time with your families, kids, your parents, or your friends, learning more skills, listening to podcasts, especially in the industry, and then having a bedtime that's set every day. It's harder to wake up at the same time every day, but it's easier to go to bed at the same time every single night. So then you know you get the rest that you need. When you're on these hour calls, well, I say hour, but 30 to 45-minute sales calls with prospects, and you're obviously trying to make money. You can't have the commission breath, but what you need is focus. That's what you need. And you need to be well rested to have focus within your sales calls. So you got to show up sharp daily. Now, here is the rejection framework. So every no is data on a question you didn't ask. And we know that now we've tracked exactly what your metrics are in a month. And so you probably know your close rate on average. Let's say it's 40%. You get a no on a prospect that is 100% qualified. You have to ask, why did it happen? How can I prevent this next time with a similar prospect with this type of character, age, portfolio, that sort of stuff, and how you can actually handle it to overcome it next time. So here's a summary of what we covered in the video. The 4 phases of get the job, win the interview, master the first 30 days, and scale with your systems to understand your full process. And if you learn this, you will never starve again, which is a huge piece. Now, if you want to learn exactly how to get into the high ticket sales space and get in front of qualified business owners who are actually hiring today within 30 days, click the link down below, apply to join my mentorship. That is the fastest way to actually get into the space. Now, a lot of people will try this stuff on their own, and it could take months, which is why if you want to fast track your education, you want to be certified as a closer and be able to understand the skills. So as soon as you jump on the sales calls, you absolutely crush it for yourself, the business owner, and your family, then make sure to click the link down below, apply. We do not work with everyone, so this is a serious mentorship where we want you to have good, fluent skills. And so we go through that in the interview process. But with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button and watch this video right here. Take care.